Hello, dear friends. What a blessing to be with you today. Here we are with another Spiritist magazine program. I'm Shane Martin. I am broadcasting to you from Richmond, Virginia, at the Spirit Society of Richmond. As always, we want to welcome everyone. If you'd like to leave a comment, a question, make sure you share so others can benefit from the teachings we receive today from the Spirit Meimei. I always like to start our conversation by reminding everybody to visit the website spiritistmagazine.org. And when you visit that spiritistmagazine.org website, you can download the newest PDF version of the Spiritist magazine. You can download the app for your Android or Google devices. You can donate if that's something you're able to do. You can also purchase the copy of the magazine. So there are many ways. I'm going to put myself here on the screen. So if you were to, this is an older version that I have, but we use this fairly often. This is a way you can probably look at the different teachings, the different articles. Here is talking about mediumship. It is a great way to have the teachings extremely high quality. It's an article we've talked about before. High quality graphics and content, and a lot of the contents we have are first time in English in the Spiritist magazine. Here is this one here is one of the articles from the Spiritist Conduct book that we talked about last week. So much more. You can also download the app, and with the app, there is a nominal charge to produce the magazine if you want the physical copy, but you can just download the PDF to your computer free of charge. And if you do that, you would have what I'm going to show you next. So you can just browse through the different articles of the Spiritist magazine. So like this one, for example, is about parents as educators and children as students. Mediumship and inspiration is another article we talked about in the past. Brilliant humility is another one. Today, we're going to be talking about happy heart. And here you have a lot of these will also have a lot of the issues will also have content for both children, young adults. So it's from I should say pregnancy to the grave. So from cradle to grave, you have teachings for all of us. No matter how much we think we know, we still have a lot to learn as well. If you'd like to volunteer on the Spiritist magazine, if you have something to contribute, you can write to spiritistmagazine@gmail.com. The editor-in-chief, Vanessa Saloni, will be in touch with you and talk to you about the guidelines and the standards of the magazine. And then you can be a contributor that way as well. We're 100% volunteer organization. And then we are here to remind everyone of this teaching, especially as we talk about these times on the earth of the planetary transition. We want to make sure that we are equipped with all of the teachings that we need in order to be strong, be resilient, contribute to the society around us, to develop the abilities that we came here to do. So this article is titled Happy Heart. Here is my PDF version of the magazine that I use, so I can show to you how simple it is. It is in the form of a poem, but I'm going to break it down. So it's by the Spirit Meimei through the mediumship of Francisco Candido Xavier. It's titled Happy Heart. Is your heart happy today? We'll see what Meimei has in store for us today. She says, Beloved soul, listen. If you can answer, even if imperfectly, to the calling that life entrusts you. So, are we listening to the signs around us? Are we able to hear the loving call of the Master asking each and every one of us to do more, to be the best we can, to contribute to the world around us, and leaving our old men and women behind and birthing a new us, a more generous one, a more compassionate one, a less selfish one. And then we can make sure we have this ability of listening. What is the call that you have in this life? Where are you at? What kind of abilities you have? What kind of things you can do in your community to contribute? Are we using all of those tools to really feel the thankfulness that we have? And she says, give thanks to God. If we can listen to the calling that life has for us, she says, give thanks to God. In the Gospel according to Spiritism, the last 2 chapters, there is a whole explanation about prayers and examples of prayers. And there, the Superior Spirits tell us through the compilation of Kardec that the first thing you and I have to do is to pray in the morning, to thank God for one more day. Even if that day doesn't complete, one more minute, one more hour, one more cycle. So that's the first thing. It's also present in the law of worship in the Spirit's book as well. Now she says, if a needle strikes you, oh, something is going on here. Let's something is going on with the file, which is fine because remember, we are live, we're recording this. Looks like I highlighted the thing without knowing I was highlighting it, which is fine. 1, 2. You see, there's a lot of things we can do. Yeah, it looks like it's highlighting. Okay, now it's good. All right, it's okay, friends. Continue listening to the call of your heart. Visualize this superior spirit with you, around you, those who are taking care of us, the mentors and guides in our lives. So hopefully this will stop highlighting so that I can highlight back and forth, but it's okay. Give thanks to God. If a needle strikes you, if a burden comes in, assist and forgive. And go on the route where the way points you to the good deeds. So let's focus on this part here. If a needle strikes us, what do we do? Because we are in the world of trials and expiations. This planetary transition is happening all around us. We are very mindful of what's happening around the world. Perhaps the needle will strike us directly, or those who we love, or we feel compassionate and empathetic towards the suffering of our fellow beings all around the world. So assist and forgive. Assist those around you. Can we live with a little bit less so that others can have a little bit? When we are entrusted with certain resources, then we can say, I'm a steward of those resources to God. Remember, we don't create, we're co-creators. And then all that we have in this life is a loan from God. And the question is, what are we going to be doing with the loan that God gave us? Forgive, because if someone has hurt you, if someone has done something that has created a difficult situation for you, she says, forgive and go on the route where the way points you to good deeds. So we continue to do the good wherever we are, in our homes, in schools, in hospitals, in our neighborhood, in the community garden, in the preschool, assisting the homeless, assisting those who are entrusted to us. We all have our circle of influence. And think about the society is a sum of all of us. If each and every one of us maximize the potential within our circle, those circles, of course, are like a Venn diagram. We interact with one another in society. We have our relationships with the community, the work, the knowledge with one another. So if all of us maximize and work on optimizing our abilities, then greater prosperity and peace and calmness we'll find everywhere, because then the suffering is lessened. If we have more we should be giving. To those who more are given, more will be asked of. So just keeping the resources for ourselves is not anymore something we can do, knowing all of the teachings of the Spiritist doctrine. In that sense, think about those friends who have lost everything. A climate-derived tragedy, a tornado, a storm, flooding, or a war. It's very fleeting. Everything that we have can be taken away at any given moment by God, of course. And then what are we doing with the resources that we have? She would say, remember how many beings even today cry desperately under a somber fight of those that to revolt give in. So a lot of us are watching this right now. A lot of us are watching powers in the world trying to take away territory of others. And then we have people in powerful positions oppressing those who are under their guidance. Then we have areas in the world there's so much corruption that none of the resources reaches the population in a way that makes the general good, the work for everyone. Many cry desperately. Sometimes we cry desperately, even if we have all of the resources, physical resources to exist. So, how many beings, even today, cry desperately under a somber fight of those that to revolt gives in, blinded by rebellious sin? How many lie on their bed, putting their last hope on death? How many fall to the screams of remorse and the culpability that devastates them? Worse, how many cry in vain the hours they have lost? So that's here, friends. How many of us have reached the spiritual realm in other lives, crying because of the hours we have lost, too much worrying about our physical appearance, the fashion we use, the things we have, fighting for the resources so we can have it all for ourselves. And then we reach the spiritual realm and we are in despair. Clear example of this, go to the book Messengers by André Luiz. There he shows many people have deep commitments with the Christ, and they return to the physical realm, and then were unable to fully fulfill the duties that they have promised. And then they reach the spiritual realm in a different position. They are reflecting, they are making new plans, they are learning, but we wasted many lifetimes probably, because remember, the world we are in still is dominated by the evil, and the evil comes from inside of us, from those who are incarnated and from those who are discarnated. We are all interconnected. We are cleansing, we are purifying, we're changing the vibrational tune of the planet to be a planet of regeneration. Go to the Gospel according to Spiritism and we'll see the chapter about the different worlds that explain the composition of spirits, what happens to the worlds, because we all evolve. The law of progress is the law of progress. We can go and evolve as the planet evolves, or we can get stuck and stagnated, and then perhaps we will be sorted out to a different place. But how many arrive? How many cry because of the hours we have lost? And if we have lost hours, don't remain crying in vain with remorse. Make a commitment to do better from now on. Make a commitment to find a place where you can volunteer, an institution you can belong to, make amendments, so on and so forth. And in the next page, she continues her beautiful story. She says, remember so many people in tears next to us, and not even for a fraction of a single moment do not complain of sorrow or in suffering. Rise above and find a way to proceed, to extend the good within our reach. If you can work, do not stay in bitterness, scars, sadness, or deceit, because by serving others out of love, already as a gift of God, a happy heart you have within you. So this is the call of today. As we see everything is around us, from tornadoes here, floods there, rain here, homelessness, poverty. Remember, behind all of that, there is a wave of goodness. The superior spirits are guiding the evolution of the planet. There are thousands, countless spiritual aid missions every day coming to the planet, helping us during our sleep time, during times of difficulties. There are much more. Unfortunately, we focus on the negative as humans, and then that's what the news brings us, that's what we see. But there's so much goodness happening right now that you and I need to focus on the goodness and not complaining. He says, there's many in tears. And then if we can find a way to proceed, to extend the good within our reach, if we can work to not stay in bitterness, because serving our others out of love is what gives us a happy heart. So we go out and reach, we volunteer, we find things to do, we improve our lives, we improve the lives of others, we take what we need, and we leave more, we give more, we do more. And we can give even if we don't have physical resources to give, because right now when you see something that comes from these guys, folks don't talk to one another anymore. There's a zombie walking where people are just, they don't even look where they're going. I guess expecting other people to clear the pathway for them. People are driving while using this, which is very as dangerous as drinking, and putting their lives and the lives of others at risk. That feeds you a hit of dopamine, so you keep coming back. So that's what's very important for you, to curate, to stay informed, but curate and find things of goodness to follow, and revert the desperation and anxiety and fear and transform it into action. There's so much need everywhere, in the rich areas and in the poor areas. That's what we find. If we talked about the law of destruction, the law of preservation, and even in the book After Death by Leon Denis, it says suffering is everywhere, in the rich and the poor, in health and in illnesses, every climate, everywhere. So there is a lot that we can modulate our eyes to see the need, instead of waiting for folks to ask, because that can be very humiliating. We go forward and we serve them. The shelters are open, the homeless shelters, the women's shelter, the animal shelters. We can serve those who are taking care of the ill in a hospital. We can do our part by following public health measures to prevent the transmission of COVID or any other diseases that are out there. So there's much we can do. We should not stay in bitterness. That doesn't mean we won't feel bitter or sad, but we don't stay there. We transform that into action. And we start by doing what Emmanuel says in the book, Fought in Life. He has a... Is the book Fought in Life here? Yes, the book is here, friends. The book Fought in Life. Small plug. We study here at the Spirit Society of Richmond this book every Sunday at 11. And in the, I believe it's 10. Yes. Chapter 10 is understanding. He says, what should we do? He says, to undo the handcuffs of evil we have forged against our souls through the millennia of reincarnations and patterns and staying the same, we must seek goodness, feel it, visualize it, and mold it with all the resources that we can muster. So we need to look for that service. When we look at someone, we don't see the defects. When we look ourselves in the mirror, we look for the goodness. When we see others trying, we encourage them. We see the goodness, we feel the goodness, we visualize the goodness. There's way more goodness in the universe than there is evil. Just look around our solar system. We're the only ones who still have this coarse physical body. The other planets have moved on. They have evolved. So there's so much goodness that keeps, because love is the glue that keeps everything together. And at the center of love is God. God is radiating love. That's from the book After Death by Leon Denis. So let's visualize goodness, let's seek goodness, let's not engage in evil so the evil stays within you. We stop doing things that we used to do in past lives. Gossiping, deceit, hurting people, cheating on people, discouraging them. We see the goodness, we see what can be done, we move forward and we work with the Lord. Serving others out of love, already as a gift of God, a happy heart will have within you. So when we move forward, we look for service. We look for opportunities of service. Where does this come from? It's from the book God Awaits by Meimei, Xavier. And there's a whole playlist on Kardec Radio that you can listen to. The entire book by Vanessa Anzalone, our dear friend. And if you stay with me, stay with Kardec Radio, God willing, I will be seeing you next week. Between now and then, stay tuned at 9 p.m. We have our dear friend Carol Correa who brings to you questions and answers from the Spirit's book. Third part of the Spirit's book, the Divine Laws, very important. Our dear Carol Correa, a lovely, wonderful resource, collaborator, friend of the heart. She'll be with you at 9. And of course, Kardec Radio app, 24/7. We want you to download, listen, share, subscribe, do all those things because the powers of the Spirit. Paul wrote letters because that's what he had at the time. We have the social medias of the time. So make sure you go and you share, subscribe so that the algorithms can work and spread the good news of the Christ because the evil is easily spread. The futile is easily spread. What we shouldn't be working on is easily spread. But the good news of the Christ, we have a little bit harder time. So it's up to you and I to be courageous and share the good news. Remember, visit spiritistmagazine.org for all of those resources. Email us at spiritistmagazine@gmail.com. You can leave a comment here as well. I will be writing back and will saying a hi to you. Thank you so much for the time and effort that you're putting into this. It's always an honor and a pleasure to be with you. And between now and next week, stay well, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.